Hello and welcome to Tapping Tips. My name is Katie Walker. I'm an EFT practitioner, trainer, mentor, and today I am doing this for mamas and papas or primary caregivers who have year 11 and 12s, mainly year 12s, going through exams. And I want to be able to help you help them, because when we can show up as regulated parents, it helps to hold that space for our children. And exams can be incredibly stressful, and particularly for year 12s, all of those years of study coming to the one crunch of those exams. We want to be able to ensure that we can show up and just support them. Not that I have a young child in year 12, but certainly she's going to get there, and I'll know that I'll be doing a hell of a lot of tapping, I am sure, because I know what exams were like for me. So what I am proposing is that we use tapping as a way of calming your nervous system down, because you might be feeling really stressed, seeing them stressed, or knowing that they have a particular exam that's going to challenge them a little bit more. And so what I'm going to show you is how to tap on yourself. And then I'm going to show you a sequence for your child to be able to use as they're going into an exam. So what I want you to do, if you are a mama or a papa or a primary caregiver that has a child going through exams, is to think about either seeing them study or knowing that there are one or two subjects that are causing them to feel more anxious. I want you to focus on that. So thinking about them going into that particular exam. And then I want you to notice when you think about them going into that exam, because you know that they're going to be anxious, what's showing up for you. So we're looking for the emotion when you think about, so we've got that little event of them going into the exam, you know they're anxious. In the here and now, what's showing up for you? And it might be worried, anxious, fear, nervous, sad, whatever the emotion is. And we're going to rate it 0 to 10, because if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that we're always giving it a rating. So we know that as we're doing the rounds of tapping, is it working? Is it not? So 0 to 10 on the emotion that you're feeling. And then just notice, is it showing up anywhere in your body? So maybe it's in your chest, maybe it's in your solar plexus, maybe it's in your stomach, could be in your head. And then just notice. So I'm going to make something up, because I'm not experiencing this at the moment, but I certainly know of kids that are, and parents of kids that are, and they're like, oh my God. So they're feeling it for them. So this is what it would look like. So we start tapping on the side of the hand, and to find the side of the hand, we go between the pinky and the wrist, and it's that fleshy part, and we're tapping. And this is where we state what's going on. But then we have a balancing statement, or an acceptance statement of, even though this thing's going on, I can accept myself still, or I accept this is just how I feel at the moment. I'm going to say I deeply and completely accept myself. So I'd love for you to tap along with me and say the words that I'm saying, or, you know, after you've watched this, use what I've just said to actually make it about you. So here we go. So even though I feel really anxious in my stomach, just thinking about Bethany going into that geometry exam, because I know how nervous she is, but I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel really anxious and I feel it in my stomach, just imagining her walking into that geometry exam, knowing how anxious she is. I know she's anxious, but I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel really anxious in my stomach, just thinking about Bethany walking into that geometry exam, because I know how anxious she's going to be. This is a harder subject. I still deeply and completely accept myself. So we say it 3 times, and then we go to the top of the head, so the middle of the head, and we're just repeating the emotion, feeling anxious. Then we go to the start of the eyebrow, feeling anxious. Side of the eye, feeling anxious. Under the eye, the bony part under the eye, feeling anxious in my stomach. Under the nose, feeling anxious. Under the lip, feeling anxious. Collarbone, feeling really anxious. Under the arm, feeling anxious. And then we just come back to the side of the hand, and in your mind's eye, you imagine Bethany. I don't know where I got that name from, but Bethany going into that geometry exam. You know she's anxious. You know this is a hard subject. Notice what that anxious emotion is doing now. Has it come down? Has it gone up? And just keep doing rounds of tapping until you get down to 2 or below. You might find after you've done a round that it goes from anxious to sad, anxious to confused, anxious to worried. Whatever happens, change the emotion when you start tapping on the side of the hand again. And maybe it's when you're imagining her coming home from having done the exam, and she says, I don't think I did well. Whatever the scenario is going on in your mind, just that little snapshot in time, that's what you're going to be tapping on. So if the thought changed to from her doing the exam to coming home and said, I don't think I did well, what shows up for you? And that could be sad, and you might be feeling it in your chest. So even though I feel sad in my chest, just thinking about Bethany coming home after doing the geometry exam and saying, I didn't do well. Oh, I don't think I did well. It makes me feel sad. But I can still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I feel sad in my chest, just thinking about Bethany coming home from after having done the exam, and she says, I don't think I did well. She's just studied so hard. I still deeply and completely accept myself. Even though just thinking about Bethany coming home from the exam and saying, I don't think I did well. I feel sad in my chest. I still deeply and completely accept myself. Top of the head, feeling sad. Side of the eyebrow, feeling sad. Side of the eye, feeling sad. Under the eye, feeling sad. Under the nose, sad. Lip, sad in my chest. Collarbone, feeling sad in my chest. Under the arm, feeling sad in my chest. And again, coming back to the side of the hand with that thought, that image of her coming home and saying that, notice what's going on with the emotion and tap that down. So why I'm saying or suggesting that you do this is that you are calming yourself down so you can show up no matter what happens. For Bethany, going into the exam, you can be there, calm for her. Energetically, that's going to help her. When she comes home, maybe she'll say, oh my God, it was fantastic. Whatever happens, but just be really mindful that you can actually do a lot of work in the here and now, even with stuff that's happening in the future. For your children, for the ones that are actually going through the exam, I'm just going to show you one round of what might help. And so here we go. If you want to share it with them or maybe show them this video, whatever works. So you get them to do exactly the same thing. So they think about going into a particular exam and sitting there. Maybe they're looking at the exam and maybe they're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know that question or the answer to that question. Or maybe it's them just sitting down to study for the particular subject and they're just finding that they're not taking it on, whatever is going on for them, but you need to break it down to little events at a time. And you ask them, what are you feeling about that? Anxious, nervous, scared, worried? Get them to rate it 0 to 10. They're 17, 18 years of age. They'll know how to rate it. If we're working with the younger kids, we might say, is it this? How intense is it? And then is it showing up in their body? And it's just going to look like this side of the hand. Even though I'm feeling really anxious, just imagining sitting down and doing that geometry exam and just saying the first question and going blank. That is making me feel anxious. And I feel it in my chest. I still deeply and completely accept myself. And even though I'm feeling anxious in my chest, just thinking about sitting in the geometry exam, sitting there, papers in front of me, I don't know the answer to the first question. What if I don't know the answer to any of the questions? Whatever's coming up for them, I still deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I feel anxious in my chest, sitting down and just imagining sitting down in that geometry exam and not knowing the answer to the first question I see, I still deeply and completely accept myself. Top of the head, feeling anxious. Side of the eyebrow, feeling anxious. Side of the eye, feeling anxious. Under the eye, feeling anxious. Under the nose, feeling anxious. Under the lip, feeling anxious. Collarbone, feeling anxious. Under the arm, feeling anxious. And coming back to the side of the hand, and the same applies. You get them to keep tapping until it goes from whatever the intensity is down to 2 or below, just thinking about that one thing, and then what else could happen, and then what else could happen, and then what else could happen. All the different scenarios that might be coming up for them, because when we're able to calm our little systems down, the nervous system down, it means that the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain, the higher thinking, the rational, logical part of the brain is online when we're in a regulated state. So our ability, our cognitive ability is on, and that's what we want when they're in the exam, not in a dysregulated state where the blood is gone from the part of the brain that they need for it to be, and they can't think. So I hope this has been useful. All the best if you have a child who is going through exams. I hope it goes really well, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.